Give me a little of your time, and I'll erase what you call weakness. Not by giving you motivation. Not by filling your head with empty inspiration. But by showing you the truth. Your weakness isn't real. It's an illusion, a story you've told yourself so many times that you've started to believe it's who you are. If you're willing to listen carefully, if you're willing to sit with the discomfort and let these words reach the parts of you you've been hiding, then something inside you will break. And what replaces it won't be a better version of you. It will be the version that's always been there, buried under fear and self-doubt, waiting for you to stop protecting your cage. Nietzsche never wrote to comfort the weak. He didn't write for the fragile, the overly sensitive, or the endlessly anxious. He wrote for those ready to face life's brutality with their eyes open. For those tired of lying to themselves. For those who finally understand that nothing is coming to save them, and decide to stop waiting. If you're at that point, tired of fear, tired of apologizing, tired of shrinking into invisibility, then this isn't the start of a transformation. This is your return. Because strength was never outside of you. It was always there, buried under layers of doubt, conditioning, and the addiction to comfort. So let's ask the real question. What does it mean to be weak? Most people think weakness means crying too much, being physically small, or lacking discipline. But Nietzsche would disagree. Weakness isn't showing emotion. Weakness is surrendering to it. Weakness is needing permission. Weakness is depending on others for validation when they don't even understand themselves. Weakness is choosing peace over truth. Weakness is hiding your desires just to avoid judgment. Weakness is calling laziness self-care, fear humility, and insecurity empathy. Weakness isn't the absence of strength, it's the presence of self-betrayal. And here's the brutal truth. The modern world is designed to make you weak. School trained you to obey. Culture trained you to conform. Media feeds you helplessness disguised as awareness. Even people who claim to love you often benefit from your silence, your softness, your hesitation. So they encourage it. They praise your selflessness. They reward your passivity. They applaud your restraint. Not because it helps you, but because it keeps you small, predictable, and forgettable. Nietzsche saw this. He saw how society domesticates you, forcing you to neuter your instincts. He said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. He didn't mean a physical struggle. He meant a psychological one, the fight to stay true to yourself when the world demands you become polite, polished, obedient. And that's the first step in destroying weakness, realizing you've been trained to mistake weakness for goodness. To believe saying no is rude. That setting boundaries is selfish. That choosing yourself is narcissistic. Nietzsche flips this. Real strength, the kind that makes you respected, remembered, unstoppable, comes from rejecting safety, rejecting approval, rejecting the need to be liked. So ask yourself, who are you without the need to be liked? Not in theory, really. Strip away your filters. Stop editing yourself. If no one expected you to be nice, humble, or agreeable, who would you be? What would you demand? What would you walk away from? Most people can't answer that. Because they don't have a self. They have a mask. A persona designed to fit in and survive. Nietzsche hated that. He called it the death of the human spirit. Because the moment you stop being dangerous, the moment you edit your truth to fit the system, you've already surrendered your power. And you feel it already, don't you? That quiet resentment. That frustration simmering under the surface. That fatigue that sleep never fixes. That isn't burnout. That's the cost of weakness. The cost of betraying your instincts just to keep the peace. Here's the truth. You were not born to be soft. You were not born to tolerate everything. You were not born to fold every time someone raises an eyebrow. You were born to be sharper. Not chaotic, but unshakable. Not reckless, but untouchable. The reason you feel weak is because you've buried that part of yourself. You've denied it for so long that you've started to believe it never existed. But it did. It does. And now, it's time to dig it back out. So let's start with your habits. Because weakness hides in the small things you do every day. in the routines that slowly rot your willpower while convincing you you're doing fine. Nietzsche said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." You wake up and the first thing you do is check your phone. Already, you've lost. Not because phones are evil, but because you didn't claim the day, you surrendered it. You scroll. You compare. You envy. Then you tell yourself it's harmless. But every time you react before you create, you weaken the muscle of self-command. You become emotionally soft. You lose your edge. You lose control. So change it. Own your mornings before you touch a screen. Fix your posture. Control your breath. Remind yourself, you are not a consumer first. You are a creator, a builder, a strategist. Your energy does not belong to algorithms the moment your eyes open. Next, your words. Weakness shows up in the way you talk. You soften your voice so people won't feel threatened. You downplay what you know. You apologize for things that need no apology. Every time you do, you leak power. And people feel it. That's why they interrupt you. That's why they dismiss you. That's why they don't take you seriously. Nietzsche didn't whisper. He wrote with fire. He expected you to do the same. Not loud, clear. Clarity is force. Clarity makes people listen. If your words don't do that yet, then you have work to do. Not because you're broken, but because you're hiding. Stop hiding. Own your opinions. Speak them clean. Don't explain. Don't beg for agreement. Say it, and let the silence that follows do the work. Most people fear silence. You won't. Because silence creates tension. And tension creates respect. Now emotions. You've been told strength means feeling nothing. That's wrong. That's dysfunction. Nietzsche didn't preach numbness. He preached command. Strength means you can feel deeply but still choose your action. You don't react, you respond. Someone disrespects you, you don't explode. You don't chase. You don't defend. You stare. You wait. And when you move, it's precise. Calculated. Surgical. That is strength. Weakness is emotion without control. Strength is emotion under mastery. So stop excusing yourself with, "I'm just emotional." That's not truth. That's lack of discipline. And discipline isn't cold. It's sharp. It's the difference between breaking down in tears and crying with purpose. One makes you a victim. The other makes you human. And Nietzsche hated victims. He saw victimhood as modern slavery, not chains on your body, but chains on your mind. The need to blame, to wait for rescue, to wear trauma like an identity. He didn't deny pain. He denied passivity. So stop telling your story like a tragedy. Stop using your wounds for sympathy. Forge them into armor. Let your past harden you, refine you, make you unshakable. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But here's the truth, your why isn't found. It's chosen. You don't wait for it. You carve it into your life. The moment you do, weakness begins to dissolve. Distractions fade. Drama dies. Doubt becomes noise. So decide. Who do you serve? What do you build? What do you protect? What will you no longer tolerate? Write it down. Make it non-negotiable. Because if you don't choose your why, the world will assign you one. And it will be weak. It will keep you obedient, soft, forgettable. But not you. Not anymore. Because if you've made it this far, you've already proven you're not like the rest. Most people flinch when their weakness is exposed. They run. They hide. They click away. But you're still here. Which means something in you is waking up, something raw, something old, something buried. Nietzsche knew weakness wasn't just physical or mental. It was existential. It came from the stories you accepted, the definitions you inherited, the silent contracts you made with fear before you even knew what fear was. And at the root of it all is the fear of being alone. Think about it. Your whole life you've been trained to belong. School taught you to raise your hand for permission. Friends taught you not to stand out. Family taught you to suppress what made them uncomfortable. Relationships trained you to be agreeable, soft, harmless. Over time you became addicted to acceptance. Not love, acceptance. The cheap kind that only requires you to shrink, silence, and shapeshift. Nietzsche would tell you, stand alone. Completely. Only then will you know yourself. Belonging has a price, and most people pay it with their individuality, their authenticity, their strength. But not you. Not anymore. You will unlearn the addiction to belonging. You won't beg for a seat at the table. You'll build your own. And if no one joins, perfect. More space. More clarity. That's your first upgrade. Solitude over submission. Now let's go deeper. Why do you procrastinate? Why do you sabotage yourself? Why do you delay what you know will make you better? People think it's laziness. It isn't. It's loyalty to an old contract you made with yourself. Somewhere in your past, you learned that shining too bright made people pull away. You learned power brought distance, honesty brought punishment, ambition brought loneliness. So you adapted. You dimmed your light. You delayed. You sabotaged. Not laziness, survival. But survival is no longer your mission. It's time to break the contract. Because you're not here to be tolerated, you're here to be felt. That requires intensity. It requires clarity so sharp it makes average people uncomfortable. Nietzsche said, "The snake which cannot cast its skin must die." Weakness is exactly that. The refusal to evolve because you fear who you might lose if you do. So you're going to shed the skin. Not slowly. Not gently. Rip it off. The people pleaser. The overthinker. The second guesser. The one who translates their soul into something soft just to be accepted. That version of you dies here. Gone. Now let's get tactical. Start with your language. Every time you say, "I don't know," when you do, you reinforce uncertainty. Every time you say, "maybe," when you mean no, you crack your own integrity. Every time you say, "sorry," for existing, for interrupting, for needing anything at all, you carve away at your own spine. Speak clearly. Don't soften. Don't qualify. Don't filter. Some will call you rude. Let them. That's just the reaction of people who got comfortable with you shrinking. But you're done with that. Next, your body. Weakness hides in posture, in how you sit, how you move, how you breathe. Most people live like prey, shoulders slumped, eyes down, breaths shallow. You can read someone's whole story from their frame. Change yours. Stand like someone who knows they're being watched. Walk like someone who expects to be followed. Sit like someone who isn't asking for permission. Every room you enter, you command, not by force, but by presence. Presence comes from certainty. And certainty comes from alignment. So ask yourself, what do I believe in so deeply that I would walk away from anything that doesn't honor it? Write it down. Carry it. Live by it. Let it bleed into everything you do. Now let's kill one last thing. Victimhood. Nietzsche despised the glorification of suffering. He saw it as a trap. When you turn pain into identity, you become addicted to it. You stay loyal to your weakness. You wear your wounds like a badge instead of armor. But here's the truth. No one cares what you survived. They care what you became because of it. And if all you became was bitter, fragile, anxious, then you let your story win. So rewrite it. Don't say, "I'm a trauma survivor." Say, "I built fire." Don't say, "I was abused." Say, "I became untouchable." Don't say, "I have anxiety." Say, "I command stillness." Words are spells. Use them with power, or don't use them at all. And now we close. Because the truth is, you already knew everything I've said. Somewhere deep inside, the real you, the grounded, clear, unshakable version, was listening to every word and nodding. Remembering. Remembering what strength feels like. What clarity feels like. What it feels like to move without apology. To protect your energy like a king guards his land. To walk away from conversations that shrink you. To say no with your chest. To say yes only to what sharpens you. To sit in silence without needing to fill it. That's not motivation. That's home. You're back. But here's the catch. You can't unknow this. You can't go back to being the version of yourself who made excuses, who delayed, who broke promises to himself. Because now you know better. And when you know better, you either evolve or you lie. So choose. Become the man Nietzsche would respect. Not the loudest. Not the richest. Not the most praised. The most real. The one who looks in the mirror and sees no hesitation, only presence. This is your standard now. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does.